As his blood dripped onto the cold metal floor of the council, Earth Commander Adrian Hale realized that nothing could have prepared the galaxy for the secrets he was about to unveil. With the fate of humanity hanging by a thread, he had no choice but to confess everything to the towering alien council, no matter the cost. Time was running out. If the council didn't believe his testimony, if they didn't understand why he had done what he did, then Earth itself would pay the price. The lives of billions rested on his ability to make them see the truth before it was too late. And so, he began to speak, knowing that each word brought humanity one step closer to salvation or destruction. Aliens from all over looked down at me from their seats around the room. Their bodies were strange. I stood alone on the platform, a bleeding human in a ripped uniform. Drops of blood still dripped from my broken helmet. The battle wasn't far away. This fight happened not long ago. "I'm from Calypso 2, I said. My voice bounced off the metal walls. The aliens watched me closely without a sound. Calypso 2 had winds that screamed like tortured souls. Storms there could tear your skin off. Growing up on that harsh planet made me tough. As a kid, I'd chase scraps in the wind, learning to stand up to the world alone. That's where I built my grit. If you wanted to survive, you had to fight. I talked about starting as a pilot, dodging asteroids, keeping steady while enemy ships exploded around me. I didn't have time for fear, just reflex and grit. With every promotion, I saw more of space, the final battlefield for mankind. Some aliens nodded when I told stories about fighting space pirates. We'd breach their hulls and drag them aboard as prisoners. But it wasn't just about fighting them. We tried to understand what pushed them to piracy. The council watched as I talked about meeting the Athonai for the first time. Their skill at talking averted more wars than most could fight. "We joined hands in peace," I said, raising my empty hand up. "We chose that, even with the might to crush them." I looked General Rebecca Tanis in the eyes. She stood next to me as a flickering hologram. She'd been my guide, a voice cutting through the war drums to remind me of my humanity. "She taught me no victory could be worth losing our souls," I admitted. The room stayed quiet except for the hum of the hollow machines and aliens shuffling in their chairs. My story got darker when I described fighting the Voraks. They had claws and teeth. No mercy for the fallen. I led the charge from the cockpit, not a safe command deck. In the cockpit, I could smell the laser blasts. I saw the life leave enemy pilots' eyes. But I talked about the choice that haunted me, the one that brought us here, wiping out the Voraks. We cornered them on Targos Phi, ships busted, but still ready to kill the planet. My voice cracked, remembering the order I gave, the button push that ended them. The council leaned in, reading my face, seeing the weight of my confession. No pride or conquest here. A commander admitting his crimes and the cost to his soul, to humanity. My destruction shook their view of us. The Voraks would have erased a human colony, left nothing behind. I acted to save lives. Was it right? Still not sure, but the less evil choice back then. I looked at the floor, then met the council's many eyes. "Now you judge if my actions damned my people, or if we too deserve survival." Silence filled the room. If my words swayed them, I couldn't tell. But the truth of humanity was on display now, brutal and protective in profound ways, for the stars themselves to witness. I waved my hand towards a figure hidden in the corner. It shuffled forward unsteadily along the metal floor. The dim light exposed an old face. Shalreen, elder of the Zokil, wrapped in dulled robes stained with ash and blood. Shalreen's scratchy voice carried lived horrors. "It started normal. Then fire filled the sky. Vorak's ships swarmed like locusts. We pleaded for help. We hid. We prayed." The room tensed as the alien stared at the survivor. "We couldn't stop the Voraks. They destroyed our cities, Our temples crumbled under their assault. Then human ships came. We thought them saviors. Shalreen's voice cracked with pain. They fought with us, for us. Silence gripped the room as Shalreen continued. But war is blind. Human weapons made no distinction between friend and foe. Our skies filled with fire, not light and birds. The Vorax died alongside us, consumed in the flames of 1,000 suns. The aliens exchanged uneasy looks, discomfort visible even through alien faces. I alone remain of my people, sole witness to their end, to the ruin of our sacred places. Without Commander Hale's hard choice, even I would not be here. Shalreen looked over the counselors. We would be memories, whispers of the past. Hale's chest rose and fell with Shalreen's words. He lowered his head, then lifted his gaze to meet the council. The room was quiet except for the systems keeping this place, and a species memory alive. The silence continued until a counselor's voice boomed, "This is not a simple story of right and wrong. Here is deliverance through devastation." Another added, "Hale acted as both protector and executioner. Can we judge when any path may have led to equal blame?" Shalreen shut their eyes, then locked onto Hale. "It was tragedy, yet you gave us a chance to endure. That debt cannot be repaid in mere words." The counselors nodded one by one, acknowledging the grim truth. War scars all, and choices made echo through the stars. The debate wasn't about guilt, but the harsh necessities that come when extinction looms. As the room's murmurs grew, Hale stood firm. Humanity's path held shades of gray, but he hoped their resilience and sacrifice would plead their case. The chamber was quiet. The Vorax entered. Its skin glowed, making shadows on the council. "Lies," it said. "Humans are brutal." It showed fear on faces in photos. It waved its arms with these lies. Hale stayed calm. He tapped his screen and brought up the true records. They showed real events, unedited. The council looked close. They compared. Vorax records were incomplete. Hale's were full truth. They listened to allies speak on recordings. The voices told the real timeline. The Vorax couldn't deny it. The Vorax used theatrics. Hale used facts. He was open, nothing hidden. "This is what happened," he said. Each piece made his story real, heavy with truth. The Vorax glowed angry, a show, not reason. But the council was used to lies. Slowly, they knew. The Vorax attacked first. Their story crumbled, lies uncovered. Hale turned slightly. His allies were there, hurt by the Vorax too, wanting peace. The council saw Hale's team. A new order, open and together, not Vorax tricks. They nodded. Truth mattered. So did stopping control. Hale had won. He looked relieved. The human story would continue, raw and accountable. The room fell quiet when I entered the witness stand. Their eyes swept over me, the alien council waiting to judge my every word. Some wanted me to fail. Others hoped my story might change how they saw humans. I steadied my trembling hands. "Let's talk about the Zokil," I began. The Zokil, a simple people who used windmills and water wheels, not starships. By Federation standards, they seemed backward, primitive. I took a deep breath. I saw them as weak. With their spears, shields, and farms, I dismissed them. But I was wrong. A ripple moved through the room. Some glanced around, processing my words. Others sat very still. The first time they proved me wrong, they trapped a predator twice their size using just rope and stakes. Quick and clever, not weak at all. I looked down at the helmet in my hands, a piece of my past. I've done things I regret. When the Kirak attacked, I matched their ruthlessness. As commander, I made sure no Kirak raider survived. I offer no excuses. Some counselors shifted in discomfort. The Kirak were brutal, yes. But my hands were stained with blood, not mercy. I straightened my back. I don't ask for forgiveness, only that you know the truth. In exploring the galaxy, I've learned about humanity and myself. We are flawed, but learning. The younger counselors watched me, weighing humanity's savagery against our capacity for change. They were the future, the ones who could share the story of a commander who evolved, who admitted his faults, even when the galaxy demanded perfection. I share my journey not for absolution, but for understanding, to show that we humans can grow, that we are more than war and weapons. We are capable of change. My words settled like seeds. Perhaps some would sprout, perhaps not. But they were planted. Now the council had to decide what to make of this ground I had turned. I stood before them, waiting for them to understand what we did after it all ended. After the guns stopped and the battlefield went quiet. Winning wasn't enough. We had to make things right, or as right as we could with so much lost. I cleared my throat as they all stared, ready to speak. We planned for after, even as we fought, I said, steady and clear. Victory meant nothing if their home was still destroyed. I tapped the screen, showing humans and aliens together, clearing rubble, lifting beams for new buildings while the aliens guided the work. I swiped, showing new crops grown tall. Humans and aliens moved between the rows, inspecting plants made to heal the damaged land. Hybrids, I said, crops to regrow and heal the land they grew in. I swiped again. A new library, filled with actual books in their language, preserving their stories and songs. We saved their culture. Their history mattered as much as their future. I looked each council member in the eye. Experts worked with them, listened, learned, documented. The room was silent as the pictures showed rebuilding, healing the land, cleaning the water, new hospitals for wounds both physical and within. I won't lie, I said, stopping the images. Some things are gone forever, lives mostly. Can't replace those, can't fix everything, but you try to heal what you can, know the cost, avoid leaving more scars. I held my helmet, the face of a fighter who knew battles weren't just with guns. They were our friends. We stand with them in peace. I met each gaze, hoping they saw my resolve. We fight, but we also heal, build, protect. When we say we'll care for a world, we mean it. We don't just leave. As the last image faded, I set down the helmet and faced them openly, hands out. I believe in strength with care. That's what we strive for, what I live for. Judge us by those we've saved, not just those we've fought. They were still, weighing humanity through my words and deeds. My breaths were short, with so much riding on their choice. The proof was there, our hearts behind our might. Not just warriors, but guardians, healers. Now they would decide what that meant. The council chamber got tense as some members stood up. These guys were tired of the fighting. They had watched humanity and its fleets and armies closely. Now they respected and feared humanity. They told Earth to put down its weapons. Disarm and demilitarize, they said loudly. Voices erupted everywhere, some agreeing, some doubtful. The room was on edge, the council like a tide against humanity. Commander Adrian Hale stood firm, a man of flesh and bone against the storm. He knew his next words carried huge weight. He faced them with his chin high, not a man of war, but a man of peace. Listen, he started, not as enemies or rivals, but as people sharing one dark universe. His voice echoed in the chamber. Peace is a dream we all share, but without strength to protect it, peace is fragile like a shell on the beach. The room went quiet, all eyes on Hale. In this galaxy there are tyrants, warlords, with no defenses. Who will stop them? He walked across slowly, steps measured. Think about the vacuum we'd leave. It's not about attacking, it's about balance. Council members leaned in, listening, thinking. Hale kept going, voice steady. Your own records show times when power brought peace. System stabilized under strong watch. He raised a screen, showing their history, scenes of harmony from strength, not conquest, but protection. I promise, Hale said true. Earth's power guided by morals, law, drive for harmony. There were reluctant nods, even among doubters. Respect grew for Hale and humanity, not just survival, but protecting, serving, keeping the peace. The faction sat down, having spoken. Hale's words lingered, humanity's resolve clear as the stars above. As Ambassador Tharen got to his feet, the chamber became unnaturally quiet. You could feel the tension in the room. Tharen, from a species that had only recently joined the council, tapped on a device on his wrist. A screen flickered on above him, lighting up his scaly skin. "Council!" Theron's voice cut through the silence. His accent was thick, but his words clear. "I'm going to show manipulation happening among us." Screens around the chamber came to life. Texts, calls, and data flashed too fast to read, but words jumped out. Disarmament. Earth. Vorax. Whispers grew into a roar. Hale just watched like the old statues of Earth heroes. He saw the council's faces change from doubtful to shocked as the evidence appeared. The Vorax Reap's glowing skin dimmed with each new piece. The whispers turned into calls for order. Guards pulled away, counselors shown working with the Vorax. Their boots on the metal floor rang out justice with every step. Hale watched them go. He felt proved right, but not celebratory. He looked back at the ambassadors left behind. The room now crackled with different energy, part fear, part new trust. "See the rot that grew in secret," Hale said steadily. "We need transparency as our base. Only honesty protects the galaxy." Agreeing murmurs fluttered around the chamber, even from those who had doubted Earth before. "We require unity, not division," Hale continued. "Earth aims to join a real united force, one standing together against lies and violence." He let his offer of teamwork and shared protection hang in the air. Hale met the eyes of many who'd looked down on Earth. Curiosity and new respect replaced it. "Our teamwork shouldn't come from fear, but shared strength," Hale said. He extended his open hand in peace. Nods began, then grew assured. Supportive words wove together into new solidarity. In minds, Earth became a unifier, a guardian of honor. Hale's heart beat with careful hope. In that moment, humanity was redefined for the galaxy. Not just mighty soldiers, but pillars of integrity in an uncertain universe. The energy shifted as betrayal became the forge for something greater, standing shoulder to shoulder with new allies. As Hale finished, the screens darkened and calm fell, his words marking a new chapter for the council. Commander Adrian Hale stood still as the council members quieted down. He looked each one in the eye before speaking. The huge room was packed with aliens from galaxies far away. They waited to hear what he had to say. You could feel the tension in the air. "I'm not here to beg for Earth," Hale said. His voice echoed in the silent room. It was clear and steady. He paused to let that sink in. "We need to unite as equals," he went on. "A group where every species has a say, where we make decisions together to keep everyone safe." The council listened closely. Some leaned forward, interested in Hale's new tone. Hale hit a button. A screen lit up behind him. It showed a plan for how the group would work. It described a council and leaders who would take turns so no one species ruled over the others. "We offer our help, not as bosses, but as teammates working for peace in space," Hale said. He pointed at the screen to walk the council through it. The counselors nodded. Some looked skeptical, but a little hopeful too. They whispered to each other in different languages. Some shook their heads. They weren't ready to trust Earth yet. But others nodded, impressed by Hale's thorough plan, and by the thought put into it. Loud discussions filled the room. Different languages blended together as the council considered it. Hale watched nervously. Everything was on the line. The head counselor stood up. Everyone went silent again. "Commander Hale, this is bold," he said, "to suggest this now." He looked around at the others' reactions. "But it shows courage, a willingness to see past weapons, to find unity in our hopes and fears." Murmurs of agreement came from around the room. "It's hard to move on from fresh wounds of war," the head counselor said, "yet the idea of a shared future is precious." Hale stood tall and steady, facing them all. The counselors sat down again. The noise died out as they each thought about the future Hale described. A future where old enemies stood shoulder to shoulder, guarding a peace they chose, not one forced on them. Despite worries, they found themselves considering it seriously. As the head counselor closed the meeting, the counselors left. Their sounds filled the room as they went to decide Hale's proposal's fate. Hale breathed out slowly. He let himself feel a glimmer of hope. His final words hit their mark. His vision was clear. Earth having a place among the stars. Not as conquerors, but as equals searching for peace. The council room was tense, the air heavy. Council members whispered, glancing at me. Adrian Hale, alone in the center, surrounded. The ceiling lights cast shadows. I was the outsider. The bird woman spoke, her feathers bright and colorful. "Earth is on probation," she said clearly. "Your military will be watched. We agree to a joint galactic force." Murmurs swept through them. Some shook their heads, unsatisfied. Others smiled a little. The vote split them. Some trusted my words. Others doubted still, but all accepted the decision. The glowing skin alien recoiled to the corner, quieted. His lies had failed. The truth won. The faces of the council showed it. Realization, reconsideration, respect starting. I nodded, face serious. I understood their leash on us. "I accept the decision and what it means," I said firmly. My voice echoed, but didn't shake. "You will help the new force," the bird woman continued. "Earth has led. You, Hale, will ensure balance." The doors opened soundlessly. The session ended. Whispers turned to talk. Beings filtered out, carrying the news into space. After they left, I went to the hologram desk. The small techie creature nodded, a new respect. I started the call to the Zokil. On screen, humans and aliens worked together, lifting rubble, clearing for rebirth, working side by side, shovels in hand, planting new crops to heal the poisoned ground. "The new power grid is on," Liang said into her communicator. "Schools reopen next month. The council's help has been so important." "Keep pushing, Liang," I replied. "You're healing more than buildings. You're healing a people." The room emptied as the call ended. I felt their eyes on me as they left. Curiosity, consideration, sensing change, fate's arrow bending toward hope. I walked to the exit. My boots echoed the march of change, no longer just a warrior, now a diplomat, a bridge between worlds. I let myself look back once as the doors closed. The chamber was quiet, but the silence rang with promise. Dawn was possible, but not guaranteed. Human strength could build bonds, not break them. That spark of hope followed us, as we set out to make a cosmos centered on rights and dignity, upheld by human resolve, and a shared vision of peace.